friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. Hey everyone, this is episode 19 of the MC Lars podcast. It is Monday, January 7th, 2019. This week we got Quelle Chris. Quelle Chris has a verse on my new record with Megaran. He plays Ozymandias on our Watchmen song. Those of you who pre-ordered the Dewey Decibel System will have recognized his verse. Those of you who haven't heard the album yet, you'll hear it when it drops this spring. Quelle Chris and his wife, Jean Grey, put out an album called Everything's Fine, which was the #1 album on Bandcamp last year, which is kind of tight. So it may have been kind of cool to end last year with this podcast, but I thought, no, we'll start this podcast this year with Quelle Chris as a way to celebrate some of the best work of 2018. On this episode, Quelle and I talk about how he got his start in Detroit around 96 with the Wasted Youth Collective, how he met Proof from D12 and how Proof really inspired him to push himself lyrically, and how he was working on a beat for Proof when Proof died. We talk about how all this craziness led Quelle to producing for Danny Brown. We talk about what it was like growing up in Detroit as a fan of Insane Clown Posse and the Juggalo culture then around 9 Mile back in the day. We also talked about how being signed to Mellow Music was like changed his life, but also didn't change his life that much. And we talked about how writing lyrics is kind of like writing spells, casting spells, and his philosophical approach. Quelle's a really spiritual, interesting guy. We joke about how time doesn't exist. So the interview didn't have to be chronological. So thank you very much for being on the show, Quelle. We end with one of their tracks from their new album, Everything's Fine, and it's called Gold, Purple, Orange. So you can peep that track on this podcast or listen to it on Spotify or however else you listen to music. This year, I'm doing a lot of fresh flavor. I'm like stepping up my releases, and I'm going to have like a release schedule. So Monday, I'm going to drop the podcast. Tuesday, I'm doing a YouTube video every week. Tomorrow, we're dropping a parody of Travis Scott's Sicko Mode. We did Skittle Mode, and I have a puppet who raps the lyrics, and it's a short little video, but I'm going to be doing those videos every Tuesday. Wednesday, I'm doing a 27th Street. Thursday afternoon, I'm doing Twitch, and Friday, we got the Freestyle Friday. So when I'm on tour, this schedule will change a bit, but that's going to be the release schedule this year, and I'm freaking sticking to it. Still doing the Patreon songs, 2 a month, and I want to give a shout out to the supporters. Jesse Dangerously actually signed up to support. Thank you, Jesse. My friend Alan, who used to run a label called DFTBA. I did remixes for him back in the day. And A Quite Bitter Being, that was their screen name, which is a reference to a CKY song, I think. Also, some of the old supporters, Anthony, Anton, and Rick Russell. Thank you very much. Y'all keep me alive. You keep this going. I appreciate it. So check it out. This is my interview with Quelle Chris on the MC Lars podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the MC Lars podcast. I'm here with Quelle Chris.
Hello.
Thanks for coming through.
No problem, man. No problem.
This is joyful to me.
Oh, it's joyful for me, too. I'm really uncomfortable right now, but it has nothing to do with your lovely setup. It's I ate about like 16 cheeseburgers yesterday. 16? Yeah, and like an assortment of fried objects. And then I also did laundry and, used like a dryer on like high.
Oh.
So not only am I like about like 13 inches fatter, all of my clothes are like, conveniently shrunken. So I'm just real tight today. Real tight.
Like your lyrics.
Yeah, mad tight.
Do you need to use the restroom?
No.
Okay.
No, I just gotta sweat it out. This is gonna be a sweaty day.
I know that post-tour feeling where you come home and you're like, did my clothes shrink? Or
did I just eat nothing but gas station trash for like 3 weeks?
3 weeks to get through the next minute.
Yeah, exactly. Oh boy.
Well, I'm glad you made it. My apartment is 5 floors up, so we made the trek together.
Yeah,
in tandem.
When I go downstairs, leaving this lovely apartment, I'm gonna feel very accomplished. You know what I mean? Like I might go back and tell Jean, like, hey, I got a good workout in today.
Just some cardio.
Yeah, I wish it was like a few more floors, so now I could feel like I'm doing something positive for my life.
Quelle, where are you from? Because you've been all over the country, right?
I was born in upstate New York, in Binghamton.
Okay.
Johnson City, New York is where the hospital is. But I was in upstate New York in Endicott until I was about like 6 or 7. Binghamton is nearby. Maybe Albany's nearby. I'm not quite sure. I haven't been back there, but my older brother went back, within the last couple decades or something. He's like, it's like a ghost town there. Because I feel like it was mostly a factory town.
Yeah.
And when the factories leave, basically, I don't know. I'm just making shit up. Like I feel like you just replace factories with meth, and then like shit just hits the fan.
Yeah. And then it's clinics and pop-up clinics and that's depressing.
Needle dispensers and shit. But I don't know what's going on there. But I do have very fond memories of it. But I haven't been back, and I don't really know exactly what the fuck goes on in Endicott.
It's beautiful though, like that part of the state, right? Is that in the Catskills or?
Look, I have no freaking idea.
Yeah.
But no, my dad was a shoe designer, so we moved around a lot with whatever company he happened to be working with. So we went from there, and we went back to Michigan, to like Taylor, I think is where we lived.
Okay.
And all my family, I'm the only person in my family that wasn't born in Detroit, but I've always considered Detroit home.
Okay.
So. And then from there to St. Louis, and then St. Louis to back to Michigan, then to Detroit, then Chicago, and then I ruined a lot of my brain cells in Chicago, and then from Chicago, where did I go? Where did we go? San Francisco, then Oakland, then Burbank, LA and shit. And then New York, then back to LA, then back to New York. I think that's
wow.
it. Yeah.
Wow. So if you were to trace it, it would look like a very elaborate starfish.
Yeah.
The map
Yeah.
with many arms. You bet. But a common thread here is all those cities are like music centers or media centers or like have great art scenes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Every one of them.
Yeah.
Is that what drew you, or I'm sure it's a longer story than that?
No, I mean a lot of times I follow friendship. And then, like as far as like my adult life, or young adult life, was mostly just like, oh yeah, my homies are moving here, so I'm gonna move here.
Yeah.
And like, like the 18, 19 year age is like acting like I'm going to college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, telling them I'm applying for a school here, and then with good intentions, but I was terrible at college.
Yeah.
I spent most of the time just being high, and then eventually drunk, and then like just fucking it up. Like I remember when I went to Ferris State University in Michigan, and I went for like, I don't know, like music business or something, some sort of like stupid thing that I felt like was, in the vein of what I would like to do with my life. And I took a audio, like introduction to like audio technology or some shit. I don't know. And I used to just sit and do doodles and not really pay attention to class or anything. And then so I never finished school there. And then I went back to Detroit. And then all of my friends were moving to Chicago. So I was like, oh, shoot, I want to go to Chicago too. And then I was looking for a school in Chicago. And I wanted to get a reference, or like you needed like a reference to apply or something like that. So I reached out to the teacher of my my audio technology class or whatever.
Yeah.
And he basically like emailed me back just like ha 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 ha.
Oh my god.
Well, like in
That's
short,
cold.
in short, I wish I kept it, because in short, like his response was like, you were like one of the worst students in the world. Like what am I supposed to reference you for? But ultimately, all that school taught me was, was that I didn't need school to do what I wanted to do. That's not a message for everyone because it works really. I mean, the process and the technicality of things and so on and so forth. School works for a lot of people. It just didn't work for me.
I mean, your discography, your releases, and your Spotify numbers, and your career is. I mean, you're an example of that, like Steve Jobs, I guess, like doing your own path has been fortuitous as heck for you.
Oh yeah, it's been fortuitous, and it's also been like
lucrative.
Terrible. No.
In what ways? In what ways?
I don't know, man. I don't know because I don't know. Like maybe I'm. You like it's a mix of just my history of bad habits, and then it's not. It doesn't create it's not a sustainable lifestyle. At early junctures of trying to do it. Like if you're throwing yourself completely to the wind on it, you know what I mean? Because I was still working a lot of jobs up until about like 2011 or something like that, and that's kind of around the time when I signed with Mello, somewhat around that time. But I was working a lot of jobs, and there was like a huge layoff that happened. At a marketing thing I was doing, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going back. But ultimately, like when you're talking like love, room and board, and like just the regular like life things, and you're doing something that is so unpredictable, financially, just job wise, because I always tell people like. I mean, at least in my history of working of doing music as a career, it's like you're constantly reapplying for a job. You know what I mean? Like it's never like stable, and like life needs a little bit of stability, especially as you get a little older. You know what I mean? Like when I was younger, I could have gave a shit less, but as I get older, it's just. So it's been great because it's what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? My mom will always be like, you never stopped, wanting to do it. And so the sticking to my guns and just really wanting this and loving, hip hop and music in general, kept me through it, and great friends. And, there's a line like in Popeyes, I can't remember the line, but basically that whole song is just about that general thing where it's like, I feel like I've ruined so many lives, but I guess maybe I was a nice enough person that no one cared that much.
I really, listening to your catalog, like if you were whack, you wouldn't be like have had this success.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I'm very freaking good.
Yeah.
I'm the shit at this shit. But
so that mixed with belief in yourself, and I guess it sounds like you've surrounded yourself with people who kind of believe in you.
Oh, not even believe in me. Like if there is a God, that motherfucker blessed me with the greatest human beings in my life. You know, and I may have not always been the best to them, but I have been blessed with just the greatest friends. I don't know if that's an energy thing or how that happens, but somehow like, there's been assholes here and there, but I'd say like 90% of the people that have been a part of my life have just kind of been like the best people on the face of the earth. So I don't know.
That's important.
How that happens, yeah.
Let's talk. Tell me about the Wasted Youth Collective.
I would say there's 2 parts or 3 parts maybe to me starting like really wanting to rap, and this is like middle school and shit like that. But one part of it is, Big Tone, who's one of the members of Wasted Youth, which is a group from Detroit. It's Big Tone, 87, and Loose Cannon, and our Loose Goose, our Goose. Now I don't know what name he's going by these days. They were always doing it. So like my brother would bring back tapes when we were in St. Louis from Detroit of like, shit that Tone was working on. Around that time, me and my friends in middle school started like kind of rapping, you know what I mean? Like mostly just dicking around, you know what I mean? Like there was like one song, I think Tim LaGrone and Ron May was like went around the way. I think I saw a blue jay. You know what I mean? It wasn't like serious songs or anything, but we were having a blast doing it. And we would like record using like the voicemail, so and getting on like 3-way, 4-way, 6-way, and just everyone would be on the phone, and one person would play the beat, and then everyone would just record it onto there.
Like do you have like a 4-track or digitally or?
Just like in the voicemails.
Oh, I see.
And then you just have to dial up the voicemail to go back and listen to the song.
That's tight.
But anyway, I ramble and I get off course a lot. But so, around that time, he would bring, tapes of the beats and things that they've been making back from Detroit. And, they were in Detroit during the hip hop shop time. And, that was a whole nother piece of magic that I'm real mad I was too young to enjoy. But
what year was this? Sorry to interrupt.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's say like 96, something like that, maybe.
So like a heyday for Detroit underground hip hop. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So basically what I'm getting at is for me, they were they made it seem like it was something that I could do. You know what I mean? Like when you're just like watching music videos on TV or like looking at pictures in the magazines and stuff, it always just seems like so inaccessible. You know what I mean? And then when you realize there's people that that are doing it, and not only doing it, but that are, doing it with people in my brain that I felt like were the greatest people, like Slum and, M and all that type of stuff. I'm like, oh, so like it's that close. You know what I mean? Like it's something that can be done. It's obtainable. You know what I mean? And so for me, Wasted Youth was just kind of like made rap real to me. Not just a piece of entertainment, but like something that I could do. But they're kind of like, in my opinion, and if you go through all my albums, I try to get at least one of them on every album. Like even Tone was on Everything's Fine. All of them were on Being You Is Great. But I feel like I kind of owe my whole career to their existence.
That's tight.
And
and they saw that talent in you. Obviously.
Yeah. I was temporarily like, I'm not rapping anymore. This was like maybe like 2003 or something like that. I don't know. And I came back to Detroit, and it was actually Loose Cannon from Wasted Youth that was like, invited me over to the crib or something. We were listening to beats, and I spit some of my raps, which I feel like at that time I was still kind of doing my raspy voice thing, like kind of like this, rapper, like Onyx type shit.
Yeah, right.
And and I remember him being like, "Yo, bro, like you have like a good voice, just your regular, lispy, weird ass voice." It was like, you should just rap in your voice.
Yeah.
And then being around them in Detroit, and man, like listening to their beats and watching how Marlo and Tone made their beats, and they really brought me back into it. So, and they didn't even know I was rapping at that time. So I was also like, oh, little Quelle rapping now, you know what I mean? So,
and what an amazing time! Also, like a main Detroit being like the center of rap pop culture. Then
they were in like a Complex magazine. I thought that shit was like the wildest shit in the world. Like, y'all in a magazine too? God damn!
You met or worked with Proof, or you knew him?
I knew him.
Yeah.
We never worked together. I was trying to do a joint for him. I think like right as he was passing, I was trying to get a beat for him. My homie Mario was hooking it up. So we had hung out or met a good handful of times, but I wouldn't say I left a mark on him. But I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe that's just how I always kind of view things. I never really feel like I'm the important part of a story. But we used to, I used to kick it over at Iron Fist Studios a lot, which was his shit.
I heard he was like a humble, great guy. That's all I've heard.
Yeah, he was ill as a motherfucker, and like it was one thing that I always stuck out from just that period of time when I was there was watching him watch people rap because he would always like predict what their next line was. And
awesome.
I would think in my head like I don't ever want this motherfucker to predict what I'm gonna say, so I'm gonna and that still will stick with me when I'm writing. Like I never want the next line to be predictable.
So he inspired you to be very unorthodox,
Exactly,
with your couplets and stuff.
Yeah,
That's cool. How did you start producing for Danny Brown?
Oh, so 87 from Wasted Youth was working on an album with him and Nick Speed. I don't know. I'm gonna let you know off rip. If you're looking for things to be chronological coming from my mouth, it's not gonna happen. I'm terrible with time periods and with time in general. I don't really believe time exists. I feel like we're just constantly shifting through different universes, and that's a whole nother talk show.
That's a whole nother time, if time existed.
Yeah, we'll save that for another quote unquote time.
And correct me if my chronology's wrong too.
Oh yeah, shit. It don't matter, man. Yeah. It don't matter. None of it really matters. I could tell you all types of shit that wouldn't even be true, and then all of a sudden it becomes true. That's how stories work.
Right.
No. So they were working on the album. 87, Nick Speed, and Danny were working on the album, and 80 reached out to me and was like, "Yo, like I've been working on this shit with this dude, Danny." And like, yo, you gotta check his shit out, and so on. So like, he reminds me of you, like the whatever. I don't care who's listening. Like the nigga be like, he don't even be like listening to like rap and shit. Like he just be listening to like crazy rock shit and shit. Like I feel like y'all would hit it off. So at some point, me and my homie Van, who's a very transient black hippie, went to Detroit for a show. I believe the show was in Ann Arbor or something. So that night, or who knows,
was it the Blind Pig?
It was at the Blind Pig. Yeah,
I love
definitely.
That venue. Yeah.
And we went and linked up with them, and so at somebody's crib. And they were playing some joints, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, they on some shit." You know what I mean? It was him. He was there. I feel like probably like B More or something. Mike Luke was most likely there. Mike Luke was definitely there because he goes by Dopehead now. And because Dopehead, every time I met him, like the first like 4 times I met him, he was asleep. Like I guess he just would take a lot of naps at that time or something. But they played a bunch of shit, and one of the joints was Dopehead's "Keep 'Em Watching," which I think is one of the greatest hip hop songs ever made. It's on the internet; you can go check it out. So I was like, "Oh yeah, fuck yeah, man!" Like I don't know if it was that night or if I emailed them later, but I just started dumping a bunch of beats on them, like go at them. Sometime later, I was getting word from like Magnetic. Matt, engineer in Detroit at the Disc, probably one of the. There should probably be a documentary about Matt because I feel like he's recorded so much great stuff that came out of Detroit. Like I can't, anyone from Detroit has probably gone through that. But anyway, that's a whole nother talk show too. And start getting word like, yo, Danny's like recording a bunch of joints over your beats. I was like, word, hell yeah, you know what I mean? All this time, I'm living my frantic, drug and alcohol fueled Quelle life in Chicago, and then I feel like it was Denmark or somebody was like, yo, or maybe House Shoes or something was like, yo, like. You hear the new, you see that new Danny Brown video? No, actually, I'm sorry. Let me go back. Cause he did Hot Soup first. And I did a joint called Head on there. But then a little later, I got a ring And they were like, yo, you see the new Danny Brown video? And it was re-up.
Mm.
And so I watched it and I was like, yo, yo, that shit's cold as hell. Like, I fuck with that shit. And then whoever I was talking to, I can't remember who I was talking to, was like, that's your beat. Because I make so much shit that sometimes I just don't, I forget.
Whoa.
And I was like, oh shit, yeah, it is. I did make that.
So you're like, man, whoever produced this is great.
Yeah, that shit is cold. That sounds like some shit I would do. But then, apparently during that period when he was recording with Mag, he was working on what turned out to be the hybrid. And a lot of the majority of the production was me, Denmark, and my little brother, which was, pretty fucking cool for me. And now this is a whole nother side story from that. Little did I know that when I was in school in northern Michigan, I used to kick it with his little brother or older brother. I don't know which one's older, but I used to kick it with his brother all the time. And his brother was giving me all these CDs from, he would be like, yo, this is my brother's group. It's the Reservoir Dogs. And it was, Chips and, and this dude named Danny Brown. And it all clicked. It was like the end of Usual Suspects. I was like, oh, shit. Like, I've been listening to his shit years before we actually met and years before we actually worked together. But that's that. Yeah.
All that kind of came together, which is probably why he liked those beats so much, right?
Maybe so. But you know what? The Reservoir Dogs shit wasn't the Danny that we got on Hybrid. And I mean, definitely not the Danny that we got going in the, all the later albums. They were more on like some kind of like Cheddar Boys, doom, type stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was a whole different feel then. But the shit was cold though.
I love the shotgun track where you sampled the Crooked Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah,
that's sick. I was like,
Crooked Ninja Turtle.
I was like, I've never thought I'd hear this sampled in a song. It's ill, man. What was it? What was the background behind that? Because that's such a very obscure, sick reference.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't remember why or how that came to be. But I do. I mean, one of my favorite things to do, and when I'm not super tied up like I am now with on the ass end of turning in this new album and got an animation that I'm like still working on that should have been done a long time ago, and like just so many things. But like when I'm not super tied down to a lot of jobs, one of my favorite things to do is just to sit, now it's YouTube, sit on YouTube and just for hours and hours, just watch everything, any and everything, and just pull out clips that I love, that stand out to me. And the same way that, I would do for if I'm looking for breaks or if I'm looking for samples, but I just like moments and shows and movies and commercials and things like that. I just like ingesting all of that and finding things that I like. And I have gigs of just shit that I'm never going to use, but it just resonated with me. So I'm sure it was just kind of one of those things where, I was like, spent one day just watching nothing but episodes of Ninja Turtles and just grabbing clips that I like. And that one just seemed fitting to, me, Danny, and Rock doing a joint.
It's like YouTube digging in crates.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the new version of that.
Yeah.
What was it like in Detroit at that era? Did you ever run into like the Juggalo culture and the ICP in that world? Because I know they worked at the disc.
My experiences with Juggalo life were more heavy in Chicago.
Oh, Chicago. Oh.
But I used to work at a Blockbuster on like 9 Mile or 10 Mile. I can't remember exactly where it was. And that was like just on that cusp of like, like crossing 8 Mile, getting closer to 7 Mile, it gets a little blacker. crossing 9 Mile and going north, it gets a little wider. But that little pocket of area there is just like, I don't know. I don't know if this is a true statement or not, but from my experience, especially when I was working at that Blockbuster, like that is a juggalo heavy area.
Okay.
So we used to get a lot of like, you always can tell a juggalo even if they don't have if they're not wearing the paint.
Right.
Because like it'll just be like a very juggalo-ish hairstyle, especially at that time, like early 2000s or something like that. It would be like, like the little braids, like the multi braids, and like some real low cut on the side, or like maybe like one of those dick cuts. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Like the dick head haircut.
And the
juncos.
The big pants.
Big ass pants.
They don't need to be wearing the merch necessarily, right?
No, you're just like, oh, that motherfucker's a juggalo. I know it. But I used to work with a juggalo when I was working in Chicago doing bike deliveries for a sandwich spot. And yeah, man, it's such a heavy thing.
It takes over people's lives.
Oh yeah. I mean, I fuck with ICP extra heavy, and generally, juggalos are like mad sweet.
Yeah.
But like somehow at the same time, like the biggest dickheads in the world. I don't know how they do it. It's like this interesting duality with juggalos where it's like, yo, you're nice as hell, and then like the next second you hear whoop whoop, and then they're like swinging on somebody, and like, what the hell? Like we were just like hugging, and then now you're like whooping somebody's ass. It's like,
and usually it's because that person was racist or like did something like offended a woman or something.
Yeah.
So this is, it's kind of like, it's funny. We did the Watchmen song on the new album. They have this vigilante element. I think it permeates the culture, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's some ill ass shit. I used to know so many ICP songs, and now the only one I still remember is "The Great Malenko."
That's classic. They're supposed to have a record come out in October, and it got pushed back.
Yeah,
but it's deep. They're on the second deck of the Joker's cards, and it's like, it's interesting how, I don't know if you know Mega Ran and I played The Gathering.
Oh man, I want to go one day.
Dope.
One of these years, I'm gonna go.
Next year's the 20th. That might be a good one to go to.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's like a milestone that it's been 20 years of it.
Yeah, that's also crazy too.
And it was outside of Columbus, and it's this. I don't know. I feel like it's this. People look out for each other, but it's also this element of a lot of hip hop to me is about building your own friendships and world and culture. And that seems like Detroit is a very been a nexus point for that.
Yeah. I mean, what you guys do is kind of that same thing. I mean, it's not the same as Juggalo lifestyle, but you know what I mean, like your guys' core group and fan base and things like that. It's kind of similar. Like, I don't know if you guys have a name, but like it's very similar. You know what I mean? Like
it's a unique, sensitive, intelligent audience. But I imagine that's the kind of people who buy your records too.
Like I have multiple pockets of people that I don't think would all listen to the same shit. And that's because every album I kind of have a different aesthetic that I'm going for. You know what I mean? So what I was getting at is like a lot of people that listened to me and got hooked with like Being You Is Great aren't the same people that listened and got hooked off of like The Sun, where like the last song is we're selling drugs, we fucking bitches, we doing, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's two different. I tighter the line between a lot of different worlds. You know what I mean?
Well, that's kind of in the Dreamer, in the Den of Wolves. You have those two voices, right? On the hook. I thought that's dope. Going back and forth.
That's a mean ass song right there.
That's
too.
ill.
But yeah, I definitely, I think I exist in two different worlds of hip hop. Like niggas that like real hard shit, and then like, you know, people that like things that are more calming and reassuring, and with like anime characters as their Abby. You know what I mean? So
that's interesting. That's like, but that I feel like is where hip hop culture is now, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the intersection of all of that.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah.
the kind of the identity there, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, no. I would compare my fan base to your shirt, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Like you got like a grouping of like cartoon characters
Yeah.
and grizzly detectives. You know what I mean?
You had that Mad Magazine reference, right?
Which one?
In Popeye, you referenced Spy vs. Spy.
Oh yeah,
And Wile E. Coyote.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like cool to me listening to your stuff, how it's a specific intersection of the pop culture world, which you're not afraid to make like weird connections and have I like that you're not afraid to be weird. And I say that as a compliment.
I don't think anyone should be afraid to be weird. And I also find like when you like really get to know a person, everybody is a little weird. You know what I mean? Just people don't like to admit it out in public. You know what I mean? And especially now where everything is just so like facade, like that's not a word, but everything is like your public image and likes and things like that. Like no one likes to admit that like they like, they just like weird shit. You know what I mean?
How did you meet up with the Mellow Music team?
I was being like friendship managed.
Yeah.
Like buddy, I had a buddy manager. Like he wasn't necessarily my manager, but my homie John Kim, and I guess he kind of brokered that relationship, if I'm not mistaken. And he was like, Mello is interested or something. Somehow it happened. I feel like Mike is the one, the owner of Mello is the one that reached out. And I feel like maybe like he heard Shotgun and Sleek Rifle or something and liked it. And at that time, like I was, that was around when I just got laid off from that job. So I thought like, I honestly like thought that was gonna like change my life. Like I was like, ooh, I'm about to get signed. There's gonna be so much money. Everything's about to get popping. And nothing really changed that much. But yeah, no. So I think Mike just reached out to me and we got to chopping it up. And, in hindsight, looking back, it's been a roller coaster of a ride, which I think all relationships can be that way. But it's been a great ride too. Initially, I just wanted the money. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I was like, I don't, whatever, cool. You're a label. You're giving me some sort of advance.
Yeah.
Sweet. You know what I mean? But I think it's been interesting to watch the label grow over the last, 7 years or 6 years or something.
In what ways do you think it's been good? Like, did they help you with mixing engineers and stuff, or do you just kind of deliver the master?
Oh no, I'm definitely lone wolf when it comes to the label.
Yeah.
I like doing everything, if not myself, with people that I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of keep everything in house. But I mean, a lot of it, especially earlier, was kind of like things like PR and a lot of stuff that I just reaching a lot of markets and people that I just probably wouldn't have on my own. With a label, you get that branding that they have or whatever, you know what I mean? So like if someone's just a fan of some other artist on Mello, they're likely to find your music and, maybe hopefully like it. You know what I mean?
They trust that brand.
Yeah, they trust the brand.
It's nice to be able to focus on the craft of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're working on a new album with them, or?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Can we talk about it, or is it too soon?
Sure. We could allude.
Okay.
We can allude to things. We can have like a very alluding conversation.
Time doesn't exist, so it's okay.
Who cares, right? Who gives a shit? Yeah, I'm working on a new joint. I've been getting like really into the idea of like spells. And I feel like it's always been something I've been interested in when it comes to music. When like music itself is and art in general is like such a powerful tool, and it's always been interesting to me how, like, like if someone like asks you like, so what do you do, and you're like, I'm a rapper.
Yeah.
Like, what? I'm a rapper. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's something that we should be a lot more proud or prouder. Which
Mm-hmm.
one is it?
Yeah. Prouder, right?
I don't,
I don't know.
prouder about, because what we do is used to shift the climate of an entire decade, of not like a half a decade, half a decade, half a decade, or whatever. Um, when artists were, you know, doing I'm Black and I'm Proud, you know, Black people were out there walking around like I'm Black and I'm Proud. When artists started doing, uh, Lean with it, Rock with it, everybody was walking around with long t-shirts, leaning and rocking with it.
Hmm.
You know, and the powers that be know that, and they use it too, to their own means, and are in the way of controlling it in a way that they can control the climate of a certain group of people. You know what I mean? And that's outside of like the huge financial shifts of things that happen with like internet. I say that was kind of one of the most double-edged sword positive and negative things that came with internet music, and the accessibility of being able to release your music to a lot of people, is that it threw off their ability to stop certain messages from getting out. You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean?
Sure.
But anyway, going back to what I'm saying is, there's spells in music. I mean, I know there's been times when you've listened to a song on the radio and you've thought like, I know exactly why this song is a hit. I could have made that if I wanted to, but I just chose not to, because I knew I didn't want to be the person to give out that message or cast
Yeah.
that spell, and whatever the way it affects people. I'm probably not explaining this the best way, but ultimately, what led me to shift into making this particular album was two things. One, I understand how it works. I've always understood how it works. I've chosen to make the music that I make because I want to get some new things out there. You know
Mm.
what I mean?
Mm.
But with this album, I'm trying out all the different spells. I'm grabbing all the different weapons that are used in different ways, and I'm brandishing them in my own particular way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's. I want to hear it now.
Yeah.
I already did, but my first rap song I did was for a class assignment. We studied Macbeth, and the chant the witches have is like trochaic tetrameter, double, double, toil and trouble.
Mhm.
They're casting spells as they make this potion to
Yeah.
mess with this guy's life.
Mhm.
And I was like, the cadence of that could be the hook, and that was my first song. I called it Rap Beth,
That's crazy.
and I was like 16. So I feel you on that, because it's like, yeah, a chorus, a message. There's a magic to it, and it's hard.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people realize it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I wish I came more prepared to get into this conversation, but yeah, there is a distinct power behind image and sound that alters the way people behave. You know what I mean? And I just find that so interesting all the time, and and yeah, so I'm just kind of playing around with that on this album.
So what's your process like? Because I know you're a producer and an MC
Yeah.
and a storyteller, and you can do all these different voices. And so, are you lock yourself up and just write, or do you work with other people? Or
Well, production wise, his majority of my history has been just 100% solo. I keep to myself, etc. But over the last some odd years, I've become a lot more like give and take, and working with my brothers like Chris Keys and like Bay Bro, and kind of like fleshing out songs and building on things together. Um, Writing, I am a chronic pacer. You know what I mean? Like if I'm writing and you put me in a room, I'm probably gonna drive you crazy because I'm gonna be walking back and forth. So I usually just have to like burst out of the room and just walk like blocks. Like I'll walk for like hours if need be.
Did you
Just
write on your
writing.
phone?
Lately,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I used to, keep pads heavy,
Yeah.
but I just, I know it feels. I hate saying it, but yeah, I did convert to the church of phone writing over the last like some odd years. Yeah.
Has that changed how your brain forms the pattern seeing the screen or not?
Initially, it did.
Yeah.
It took a little getting used to, and it was a product of force. You know what I mean? But initially, it changed how it flowed. You know what I mean? Because I think there was something to putting the pen to the paper or the pencil to the paper, and like you know getting that illegible uh,
Yeah.
shit on the paper, and then going back and trying to figure out what the hell you wrote for one. But like the flow of it almost kind of helped with the flow of how you were putting it together. So like for me, one of the things that I had to do was find out how I like to lay out my words. You know what I mean? Because like
Yeah.
when you used to write, like you would separate things in certain ways. I know people that would just do like a slash between things. I know people that would do like the line, and
Yeah.
each on its own line. And there's so I think that was the main thing, was just to make sure, because a lot of times I wasn't recording immediately, was to figure out how to make sure that when I go back and read it, I still remember the cadence and the pauses and what
The notation
yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
so what have you found? You do like asterisks or
well, one thing I do is I'll put like if it's one where I know that I'm getting a little gnarly with it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll put like let's say like it's um I poop in my shoe or something, and that's not a good example because that's real simple. But like let's say it's whatever it is, I'll put like a 1 and a 3
Mm.
within the line, so I know like this word drops on the 1,
Mm.
and then by the time I get to this word, I should be hitting the 3.
That's
You know
awesome.
what I mean? So then I remember like, okay, like it's da 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 da, because I know
Yeah.
like this word is supposed to hit this count. You
That's
know
smart.
what I mean?
I do brackets for that
Uh,
similar thing. Like if I know I used to do a circle, I'll do a bracket so I know there's a rest before the pickup.
Yeah.
So that's smart though. Numbers, I like that because then you specifically know which beat you're counting
Yeah,
on.
exactly.
I might use that.
Yeah, oh no,
Thank you.
it works like a charm,
Yeah.
especially if I'm having a wild night. You know what I mean? And I wake up the next day, I'm like, how the hell did I make this work?
It was so dope last
Yeah,
night.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's been something that I did, and then I found that over time I just started almost writing in like damn near paragraph form. Like I don't separate anything. It's
Yeah.
just like all one blob of words.
I remember when you sent Megaran the verse for when you were on Watchmen, it was like a paragraph.
Yeah,
I thought it was tight.
tight.
And it was like for some background. So those of you who haven't heard it, Quelle plays Ozymandias on our
Yes.
Watchmen song.
Yeah.
That was so fresh that you pinch hit it and came and that was one of our last songs on the record. And you recorded so quickly.
Yeah.
Now, how did you and Megaran link?
I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say the internet.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Again, chronological shit not gonna happen here, kids. But I feel like when I was starting, or at least like when I was starting promo for the song Buddies,
Hmm.
I don't know if you saw, I made like that uh like beat 'em up style gif of me, like 3 me's, and knocking out some criminals, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think I reached out to Rand around that time, or Mega, or
Yeah, I think
Ray.
Rand people call him his real name. Yeah, people when I'm with him and it's like old friends, they always call him Rand
Okay.
because he used to call himself Random. I
Oh
guess.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right, Mega Random.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So let's go with Rand.
Okay.
So I feel like I reached out to him on one of these social media outlets and was like, yo, like, I know he's heavy in like the gaming world. So I was like, do
Yeah.
you happen to know someone that might be able to help me maybe develop this into like one full level?
Mm.
And I think he did give me like a suggestion, and then I didn't care anymore because like something else happened,
But
in
you
my
got it
life.
done though.
No, I didn't do it. I didn't
Oh.
do it, but it was kind of like the precursor to what I ended up doing for that Zero video, which I don't know if you saw that one.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm sorry.
Oh, you got to see it. So
The Zero video.
yeah, so it's from
Yeah.
Zero from Everything's Fine. And it's, Jean has always had this kind of assassin narrative going through her albums. So I thought it would be a real cool idea, and also just like flattering. Like it was for the video, but it was also just because like I wanted to do something for my baby. But it's a full 16-bit video game of her just running around killing a bunch of people.
I got to see that.
Yeah, it's really on point. So, but anyway, it was a precursor to me doing that because I was like, I got into just sprite design and stuff like that, and then making the game or making the video. So working on the video, it was weird because like about like halfway through the process of working on the video, I would like run into moments like, like let's say I'm working on like when the guy shoots her. I'm like, man, dog, this part of the game is so annoying. Like I started like feeling like I was like watching a speed run of a game over and over and over. So ultimately that led me to like downloading like Unreal and the lofty goal of eventually turning that video into an actual playable game.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you're an animator as well as a
Oh yeah. Yeah. I started animating in like maybe it was like high school or something. Like I went out to like Dick Blick and bought like the cells and all that stuff, and then ultimately realized like I'm terrible at painting and shit. But yeah, no, I've always been into animation, and then I think like somewhere around college, someone introduced me to Flash and shit, and so like what I liked most about Flash was that I could still do frame by frame, which is like the only thing that makes sense to me. I've never been good with like the key point animations and stuff. I did a video for MC Cohen from Cohen Beats recently for this Stone's Throw. And that one I did a lot of keyframe stuff. And while I really love the video, I'm just not into keyframes. Like my favorite thing is just frame by frame, draw each frame.
Yeah.
So
Adobe Character Design, do you know that program?
I know of it.
It's definitely keyframe based. But what's cool about it is like I did a video with it where if I were to record, like if we were to import this, we could do it just automate a podcast of our heads talking. Which is cool because it does the phonetic symbols. But it's definitely like not. It's definitely looks kind of like you paid someone on Fiverr to do it.
Right. See, yeah,
it's not fresh.
I've always just liked the nuances of frame by frame animation too.
Yeah,
especially for me because I'm like even in my music making process and everything, I like mistakes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
So when you're doing like frame by frame, you can get a lot of nuance that you don't get with keyframe animation.
A lot of life.
Yeah, exactly. So, so like with the Zero video, it was cool because Photoshop you can do frame by frame in Photoshop, and it was cool because working on the sprite animations, it was like a mix between frame by frame work and keyframe work because I wasn't necessarily programming like a game. what I ended up doing is I just ended up doing the all of the movements and then taking them from Photoshop and then dropping them into After Effects and keyframing the animations moving across the screen.
Because you could like layer a loop.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy. How long did it take you?
I think it was like a couple months, handful of months, something like that, off and on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but that's the cool thing about animation is you don't have to pay actors, right? You don't have to have a crew you're feeding.
Yeah, you just have to destroy your mind for like months at a time. Yeah, it's such a tedious thing. It's always like it's such a weird moment of gratification because like it's like 7 hours of just
Yeah.
and then you kind of go back and you watch it and you get like that 0.5 seconds of a movement, like, oh, almost there. Like 7 hours later, and then like you're like, oh, that's the, I think that's the whole thing. And you go back and you watch it and you get that like 3 seconds of gratification, like, you know what I mean?
Forever though.
Yeah, right.
Which is worth it. Like writing, I guess, but I guess writing is more fluid and less, right, in terms of time.
Oh yeah. It's a whole different thing because it's a lot of repetition. Because like, you know, the fun part is the idea.
Yeah.
The not fun part is it's like if you were writing a verse, but then you had to like do like Bart Simpson at the beginning of Simpsons, like you had to write each line 100 times.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right,
It's like it loses its charm after like the 100th frame. You know what I mean? So, but you know, ultimately the goal is to destroy your social life for a couple months, but for those like 2 minutes of magic, you know,
that creativity through motion.
Mm-hmm.
And it just struck me this interesting parallel that you said your father designed shoes, so he did creativity through motion in people's feet, right?
Yeah,
that's like you've got that you came from a creative family.
Yeah, I mean, outside of just shoe design, he was just a phenomenal like painter, artist in general, and a great pianist. He would play piano. He would play the Rhodes, like, you know, a lot. You know, I was about to say every day, but that's probably not true. But he would play the Rhodes, and you know, so I got to listen to him play music, and he would have us draw. You know what I mean? Like he would like buy like large canvases and just, you know, encourage art in the household. So
that's a blessing, and that you were able to live in different creative places, and like it's like you said earlier in our interview, like that you've been blessed with beautiful people around you.
Oh yeah,
and I think so much that is what defines who keeps going creatively versus who throws in the towel, right? You got to have that fire, these people around you. That's what I love about New York is that, you know, all the people like you and people I've met in the city who I'm, you know, honored to know. It's like, I don't know. I feel like if I didn't live here or didn't live in such a progressive place, I might not have that fire.
You might be like, fuck this shit. Yeah, like, why am I doing this?
Let me do data entry.
Exactly.
Which is fresh. Like, I'm sure.
Data entry is... Look, man.
It's fine.
I'll say this. I failed in college. I failed 3 different accounting classes. So salute to everyone and anyone who can do that shit.
It's creative problem solving.
Yeah. I'm not that person. I'm not that person. So yeah, salute to all the data entry people out there. You don't want this life.
You keep our planet functioning.
Yeah, exactly. Yo, I've done like the gamut of like fast food jobs and shit.
Yeah.
And I always like, there would be a part of me all the time that would think like, yo, like people that work these jobs should get paid so much more because it's like the constant fuel for people throughout the day. And it's such especially like if you work like a lunch shift or something.
Yeah.
Yo, salute to all those motherfuckers out there that do that. Because like that is such a high intensity job.
And ungrateful people sometimes maybe.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. It's like,
yeah.
And then, you know, basically what I'm getting at is that people will be like, yo, like I wish I had your life. I'm like, bro, you don't want this shit. Like what you do is amazing.
Yeah.
It's needed. And it's and you know what's coming up next. I never know what's coming up next. You know what I mean?
You are married to an artist as well.
Yes, I am.
Congratulations on your nuptials.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And we were talking that earlier because
And congratulations on yours too.
Thank you. We yeah, like I appreciate that. For me I've always had a lot of fun and enjoyment being on my own, doing my projects. So finding someone who kind of understands that space and also, I mean, I guess we have that in common. We're both married to creative people, and obviously your wife is a professional.
Yeah, no, it's mega important because I feel like if I was with someone who was in data entry, they would be like, dude, what the fuck are you doing like with your life? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's so great to be with someone where I can go, hey, I'm about to go to the studio today, and they're not like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, hell yeah, you know,
Yeah.
like you're getting shit done. Like they understand, like she
That's
understands, you know what I mean? And you know, likewise, you know, and I think we're both somewhat like lone wolf type workers. So I just kind of let her do her thing, you know, pick her brain, see what she's working on, step back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think I'm probably more than anything also kind of a little more of like a helper bee. Like I wanna, like, you need a hand with that, or can I help? It's like, no, dude, like I got it.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's true. Because if I was working on a beat and she was to be like, yo, like, can I help you with that beat? I'd be like, nah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I understand. So yeah, it's just awesome being with someone that understands what you do. You know?
You touched on something good, because something I've learned is you don't want to ever, you want to respect your partner's vision. And so when you have a creative partner, like you don't want to give input that's not asked for. And I think that's I'm basically re-saying what you said.
Yeah.
And that's like important, but also it's knowing when to, like, for me, when playing demos or something, when it's the right time, when someone has an open heart to listen to it, right?
Yeah.
That's important too. And yeah, it's the most beautiful thing, and sometimes it's the scariest thing, but it's like I wouldn't want it any other way, you know?
Yeah. No, I don't think. I mean, I can be a handful anyway, but I don't think it. I could imagine. You know, especially at this point in my life, being with someone that isn't also, you know, a creative and a career creative.
Yeah. What was it like? You made a record with her. It's called Everything's Fine. It's ill. It's a really dope record. And I've never met anyone who made an album with his wife. Or by then were you married or before that? Or?
No, we weren't. We weren't married yet.
Partner.
Yeah.
Now wife. Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, the interesting thing is, I feel like people feel like we're like in like some sort of like love and hip hop type relationship where we're like constantly at. Why is like love and hip hop? They're always at a event opening of some sort. I like at some sort of like showcase. But anyway, like I feel like people feel like we just walk around rapping together all the time, but we don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We live generally regular ass lives. And so for one of the best parts about making that project for me was actually watching Gene work. Like we've made like things together. We've done like those like That's Not How You Do That albums. We've worked on like some songs for a couple Christmas albums and over the course of our relationship. And you know, we've done a lot of creative things together. We did like the plays. We've done like a lot of shit. But this was the first time that I feel like I got to actually watch her do the craft of emceeing, and it was just cool to see the like I in general I just like watching how people approach emceeing. You know what I mean? It's like if if you like sports, watching how someone else, plays ball, or if you're a swordsman, you're watching how someone else, handles their swords.
Yeah.
So so it was cool because she's a lot more precise than I am. You know what I mean? And there was even kind of moments where like she could hear things being just a little bit off in a way that I would never even give a shit to pay attention
Mm.
to. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So like
Like
watching
beats or lyrics or
just like lyrics and
yeah,
stuff, like
yeah.
where she was like, like that's just like a split second late. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And so it's just awesome to watch how her brain works in that world, and also to watch her produce and stuff like that. Because in the same thing, I've seen her make music before and stuff, but this is the like kind of like, and we've done like so many shows together too and things like that. But this was like the first time I feel like I actually got to watch how she operates creatively
Mm.
when it comes to hip hop. And it was a sight to behold. She is quite a fucking beast. She is
That's
quite a
cool.
beast. Yeah.
What inspired y'all to do that album?
Um, a series of unfortunate events. Yeah. Pretty much like something happened, which led to something else happening, which led to which led to something not happening, which led to us being like, well, then fuck it, let's make this album.
Mm.
That's kind of, it's not a glamorous story,
Okay.
but 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 it was the right thing to do at the time,
Yeah.
because there was a void in the creative endeavors at the moment. So it was like, there's this opening. We could do this, or we could do this, or we could make an album together.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, the obvious choice is make an album together.
And I mean, it's like I've made records with friends, full records, and it's like if you can get through that and your friendship can survive.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? So if it's a marriage, if it's a girlfriend or a partner, that's a huge test to your bond. It's
oh,
a testament to
yeah.
your bond, right?
Oh yeah, we were like broken by the end of that album, and we had got much love to the labels out there. We had a deadline, which I hate fucking album deadlines. So I think
Yeah.
it's such a scar to the creative process. But this is an industry and a job. As fun as it can be at times, it's a job. So we had a deadline that we were trying to meet, and or not that we had to meet. And so like it was a lot of like, much love to Gene, love you baby, and much love to Babe Bro, because like it was just a lot of like, and like afternoon to like 5, 6, 7 a.m. sessions. You know what I mean? Just ironing everything out,
Yeah.
ironing everything out. And then, then you get into the mixing portion, which I feel like by the time we got to mastering and mixing and mastering, which my homeboy I said, amazing musician, go check out I Said's music, but he's also like mixed and mastered like my last semi projects. And like by the time we got to that point, like Gene didn't even give a shit about the album. Like she was like, you handle that. I need to get a break, because like we really like went in heavy.
She trusted your ears on birthing that baby.
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And the reaction has been great, right? Like the press and
yeah, people loved it.
it's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was crazy because like after I turned it in, we didn't listen to the album. Like I still don't think I've gone back and actually listened through the entire album, because
Really?
we put in so much time in
Yeah.
such a short period of time to make
Yeah.
it. So I'm just taking people's word for it at this point. Like when people are like, "Yo, that everything's fine," is murder, man. I'm like, yeah, sure. What you said, yeah. You know what I mean? Because we just had to push it away from us. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because we went in so heavy.
And what was the total like length from like first conceptualizing it to getting the master?
See, you're hitting me with time questions. I'm gonna say like a handful of months or so, like
So pretty quick.
5 months or 4 months or something. So it was a really quick turnaround. And then you figure at that around that time too, like, Gene has a lot of other creative endeavors going on, as do I. So it wasn't like hard on 4 months, but I don't know if you're this type of creative, but procrastination is a motherfucker. So like we were doing a lot of exchanging of ideas, and I was recording a lot of roughs. She was recording a lot of roughs, and then it was like, oh yeah, you have 2 days to finish it. You know what I mean? So like we just had to
finish the album or the roughs.
Oh no, like to finish the album. So I feel like
geez.
the first couple months were just like getting the ideas going.
Sure.
Or the first like month or something. And then the next month was just like Rambo recording,
For all my favorite albums have been like that. Like collaborations are not like working for months on roughs and then picking the best, like if I'll do 20 songs, best like 11.
Right.
That's like this album with Mega Ran, like that we did 22 songs and it's 13 tracks.
Yeah.
One of which you're on. And like that was cool because we really had the luxury of making this big draft that we then narrowed down to. And then when it's like when you came through, we were at the end of like a long week session. Like it has to be like super hardcore to have that like, okay, we're inking, we're doing the paint on these cells.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Were there any songs you didn't use, or did you end up using everything?
I feel like there were.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they were now.
Yeah.
There was a couple songs that like I think like the Nick Offerman interlude, the beat behind that is actually what I initially wrote Gold, Purple, Orange over.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So like there's a couple things like that, like things that kind of got shifted around and changed and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So and like we really wanted Paz from De La on Gold, Purple, Orange, but we didn't have enough time to make it happen. And like there's just a lot of things that we planned on putting on the album, but just due to time and things like that got shifted around. But I will say, like, I feel like we used the majority of what we did.
That's good. And that's the nature of like good art, is having a deadline, having structure, and having people who can keep you in check.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you remember that Guns N' Roses record that took forever?
Dude, every one of my albums would take like 2 to 3 years if it was up to me.
Yeah. That sounds like so speaking of good people, you have good business people around you who help you filter your ideas.
Yeah. But I guess like when I think about it, like Being You is great. Has like Popeyes on it, right? That I think I made about like almost maybe like 4 years before the album actually came out.
Really?
Ghost at the Finish Line was about like a few years. Innocent Country was a few years. Like I do like if given the chance, I will take my damn time on the album.
Yeah,
like, and just slowly accrue things, because like sometimes like life, like you can only get so many moments in like a short period of time.
Yeah,
and I don't really crank out my songs just off of like whatever common themes. You know what I mean? A lot of times I take just inspiration from life. So like, I might have a couple months where there's just nothing I want to write about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I might have like a week where I'm just going ham. And then I might have like about 5 more months where I'm like, I want to like draw more or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like, if it was up to me, every album would take forever, because I like just the slow building, and I'll go back and I'll start like picking out songs, and there'll be like a beat that I made like 4 years ago that I didn't even like, and then I'll hear it like 4 years later, and all of a sudden it makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Because of where I happen to be in my life. So I like that time. I like letting things just kind of marinate. Yeah.
And I remember this quote Bukowski always said, like, write and then put it away for a week, like with writing lyrics or whatever, and then you'll know if it's good.
Oh yeah.
But don't edit.
Oh, y'all got a cat.
That's Gus. He just came to say hi. Hi, Gus.
Hey, how you doing, Gus?
This is Quelle, Gus. He's like,
Yeah.
what are you guys doing?
We got a cat named Littles. He's the shit.
Cats are a great New York pet
Oh yeah.
because you don't have to take them out.
I think cats are just the best pet,
Yeah.
hands down. I
Yeah.
mean, hopefully you don't end up with an asshole cat, because I know a lot of people end up with asshole cats. But like, if you happen to have the right cat, bruh,
You
like
never want a tour.
yo, like dog people, whatever, kudos to you, blah blah blah. But like, I don't like a good cat. You can't beat that shit at all, dog.
Yeah, and I think they have a lot more subtle personality than a
Mhm.
dog. Dogs have
Oh,
personality.
dogs have hella personality, but cats,
Was he eating? Is he trying to eat food?
mm-hmm.
I can't see him, but
Yeah, he's giving me the eye right now. But yeah, no, cats, they have a independent nature about them
yeah,
that makes them feel more human to me. Like a dog feels like a dog.
right.
You know what I mean? And the dogs are generally like trained and formed into what you want them to be.
Yeah,
But like a cat is just gonna be whatever that cat happens to be, and there ain't shit you could do about it. You know what I mean?
yeah. And no apologies.
No apologies. like I've read like a lot of, because like I've had 3 cats in my life, right? And my first one, I didn't really do much studying on like cat care. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It was just like, it's the homie. His name was Meow Lamar Akbar. Meow Lamar Akbar.
That's tight.
But like with the cat that we have now, I've done a lot more research, and it's interesting because like they say like you're not even supposed to like scold cats and tell them not to like scolding
Uh-huh.
them makes them act out more. Like you're supposed to teach them how to do the right thing by showing them like love instead, or something like that. I'm probably saying this all wrong.
Interesting.
But ultimately, basically what I'm saying is like you can't break these motherfuckers. Like there's nothing you can do. Like it's like this is just who I am.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of got to get used to them,
It's almost like they're rappers in a way.
Exactly.
Or some independent.
Mhm.
I think I guess my point is, as rappers ourselves, we can identify with that personality.
Yeah.
We don't
I
like
love 'em.
being scolded.
Yeah.
It doesn't help
Yeah,
us.
don't tell me what to do, bro. just make sure my food's there when I need my food, and
Yeah, and I have a place to sleep.
Right, exactly. And I might come out and kick it with you later. I might. You know what
Like
I mean?
Gus just did.
Yeah, I might come and kick it with you.
He is his stories. He was a rescue from a friend of my wife, and then he was like kind of treated poorly. So she kind of has, before I met her, tried to, he was missing most of his teeth and stuff.
Yeah.
But she tried to like love and show him to trust, and it's cool that he just came out to say hi, because he's really scared of people. So it's like, I agree with, I see what you're saying with him, because the love has made him like he's learned to trust humans, because he was kind of like stepped on,
Right.
which is kind of a beautiful, I don't know, I feel really special that he trusts me, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean their whole get up is about trust.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
about eventually getting to the point that I feel like I feel safe around the people that I'm around. You know what I mean? Where I think like a lot of times dogs want to be protectors. Cats are looking for trust. You know what I mean? They're not looking to like protect you and shit. If someone was to burst in this place with a gun right now,
He's out.
he wouldn't give a shit, But but they're just looking for people that they could be comfortable around. That's awesome.
I wanted to end with a question for you as a newly married man.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to a younger Quelle Chris about finding love in the relationship you've built? Things you've learned from like now making the choice to be married, and things that like you would have taught yourself that you maybe didn't know about relationships when you were 20.
You don't have to destroy everything that's beautiful. You know what I mean? And I don't know if it's always been conscious and are just a result of lifestyle. But I have had a history of being like, oh, this shit's getting too good, destroy it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And learning to just accept that, like, life can be awesome, and you deserve good things.
Yeah.
I think that would be the advice that I would give myself. But as a catch-22, I would not give myself that advice because then I'd probably be with someone else before actually getting here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So it was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
How did you two meet, may I ask?
I was working on some music for Pharaoh Monch.
Oh, wow.
Working on some beats for Pharaoh.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool. Your passions brought you together, I guess. Your paths. That's
Yeah.
that's telling, isn't it?
Yeah. Actually, no, the first time we met was before that. We met through some friends at a bar, but yeah.
Who made the first move?
If
I may ask.
She did, but it's not because, like, I wasn't interested. I was also, and I think I was in I was in another relationship, I think, when I met her. Or no, I wasn't yet, but I eventually was. But ultimately, she made the first move, but it's no slight to her. It's just I'm not like a first move guy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I've never been, like very aggressive when it comes to pursuing, the fairest species.
Yeah.
So yeah, she made the first move, and then I was still like being a dummy. So I'm glad that she stuck it out with me. You know what I mean?
It worked out.
She saw what I didn't see, and that's because I'm a dude, a knuckleheaded dude. And I hate when people say that type of shit, but like it's because it's so cliche, but it's like partially true. Like we can be knuckleheads. So
I agree. And having a partner who's patient and willing to teach us, right?
Mhm.
Willing to be the teacher role, but not. It's so complicated.
We always learn from each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
That's cool.
it's the give and take.
Quelle, Chris, where do you like to direct people to like stay in touch with about your new projects?
I'm on the Instagrams, I'm on the Twitters, Quelle Chris on the Twitters, Quelle Christ on the Instagram. And it's not because I have a God complex, it's because my last name is Tanil. Most of my stuff is on Bandcamp. A lot of it is. There's a mellow Bandcamp, but then there's also just my personal one. You just go to Google, type in Quelle Chris Bandcamp. Damn near gonna smack you right in the face. And there's about like 600 projects on there, so dive in and enjoy.
Yeah. Do you have it like a email list or anything like that?
I've done them at times, but because
Yeah.
I am so like detached from the world at times, it probably wouldn't. It would make such a great difference for my career, but I just would never attend to it. So,
So basically, all the normal places and
hit
Spotify
me at
too.
the normal places.
I follow you on Spotify.
Oh yeah, I'm on Spotify too. Yeah. Mhm.
And is your stuff through the Mellow YouTube, or do you have your own channel, or both?
It's been through the Mellow for like the last handful of years,
Cool.
but then most things that I did pre-Mellow are still on there under the Crown Nation YouTube page, which
Cool.
is me and Denmark Vessie's group. Even though we've only had one album, I feel like we're still a group.
Will you do another project?
Will we do another Crown Nation project?
Yeah.
Hell fucking yes, we will.
That's awesome.
I'm really looking forward to it. We've started like almost like once a year for the last like 8 years. And we just
you made songs already? No.
We've started joints.
Yeah.
We just never get around to finishing it because I'm gonna be the bigger man and I'm gonna blame myself, mostly probably because of me. But yeah, when that happens, when we make another Crown Nation album, like you guys can't see this, but this shit was so serious that I automatically started doing the politician hand.
Yeah.
where like it's like a fist where the thumb is kind of sticking up. When we do this and it like shakes with each word, with each syllable. But when we finally make this album, it is going to be a beast. Because I know you're trying to say bye to me, but I'm just gonna keep talking. But like because like from like when we made the first Crown Nation album, we were. We were developed at that point. We knew our sounds and stuff, but you're always growing, and you know what I mean. And I definitely clearly I'm a witness to my own growth, but also just to see how much more profound of an artist and MC Denmark has become since whenever that was that we made the first Crown Nation album. Like it's gonna be like two beasts in a room. I can't wait.
So you got to set the deadline, right? That helps, right?
Yeah, we tried. Like I've definitely been on the phone with them and be like, okay, we got 2 months, and we're gonna get together once a week, and then and then I get lost in my little brain world, and then it's like 2 months later, and I haven't even like called them. So yeah, I'm blaming myself. Send all the hate mail to me.
The album with Mega Ran we took a minute, but doing a crowdfunding towards the end helped because we're like we need fools to get it.
Yeah,
and that was the because he and I wanted to work and rework, and that he was in New York for a week when we did all the vocals when we came through, and like that is your collaborator in New York or?
He's not here right now. He just had a beautiful baby girl, and he'll be back.
I've got
mostly because he just can't stay away from me.
Yeah, he knows he has to make this record.
Yeah, exactly. It's more important than anything in the world right now.
Last question for you. You have the song with Dilla, which is
the House Shoes Are Spinning, right?
Yeah. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, but but he was already dead and gone by the time that song was made, and that was like a tumultuous thing. Anytime you're doing something with the works of someone dead, things always get itchy, because everybody wants to be the closest person to them. You know what I mean, or the person that owns this or does that, or this isn't right or that's not right. So it was a strange thing. It was an honor to be a part of that history, but also, I just felt like a lot of things that happened post death just are so tainted to me. You know what I mean? Like no need to get into details, but just kind of watching like friendships falter and things, over someone that's dead. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like I'm definitely not gonna do some Prince shit, and I should make sure I do this because you never know what's gonna happen next. But I definitely need to make sure like I do like a music will or something, because I don't want when I pass people fighting over my shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's ugly. That's not a way to go out. Or that shit shouldn't tear people apart, because ultimately the process for me of making all this music made I have the family that I was born with, but I have the family that came from my life in music. And I would hate to like pass and have people bickering over my shit that should just be brought together more in my passing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of profound. You don't think about things like that, like what the posthumous legacy is.
Yeah.
Do you think he would have liked the track? Like
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Yeah. Were you probably thinking that, like when you talk about proof, guessing your rhymes, making sure you would surprise him? Did you kind of have that in your head? Like, man, like what would he be thinking if Dilla were hearing this?
Well, the main thing that crossed my mind was, if I'm gonna do this song, it's gotta be a really good song. Like I have to hit him.
Yeah.
hit him with some heat.
Yeah. Right.
You know, so because I was like, I'm not gonna shit on his name. Like, you know, I can't recall. I don't know if there was any money involved or anything. But I just I was like, you know, there's something to like that's like, you know, like the Capital One or some fuck bags like that are using like Prince music on their commercials now.
Yeah.
And we all know Prince wouldn't want that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like, if I'm gonna do this, like I have to feel like in my heart, because I would have, if I didn't like the song, I would have just been like, then I don't want to do the project. Like, if I'm going to make this song, I have to feel in my heart that if he heard the song, he would be like, oh yeah, this shit's cold.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like, it's just doing it so that you could say like, oh yeah, I rapped over a Dilla beat.
Right.
And that's whack as hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's cool. You had respect in that and a bigger vision of the world and the legacy.
Mm-hmm.
I have the 33 and a third books. They're like summations of albums. I have the Dilla one right there on that stack, the Donuts one. It's like an expanded liner notes, and they're kind of cool. They're kind of like but it's interesting because it's like essays about how the albums were made. So I was looking at that while you were talking. It was kind of interesting. Yeah. It's a cool series. That one's pretty cool. Another good one is the Beastie Boys Paul's Boutique one.
Ooh, that one's probably beastly.
It's pretty tight.
This is for what, Donuts?
Yeah, Donuts. Yeah. And then I have Nirvana in Utero. It's a cool series, but I did a pitch for Great Malenko, so I was studying them.
That'd be crazy.
So if I got picked to do it, it would be pretty fresh.
Oh, that'd be extra awesome.
Dude, this has been a very good conversation, but I don't want to cut you off. If there's anything more you want to say to your fans and the listeners and stuff.
Oh, I could just ramble forever, so you don't want to do that. Don't do that to them. This shit's never gonna end.
Okay, well, for future tour dates and all that stuff, do you think you'll hit the road when the new record drops?
Oh, I fucking hope so.
Yeah.
Maybe y'all could bring me. Y'all be touring. You know
that would
what?
be tight. That would be tight.
I don't know. Like I've had like an amazing career, I would say, just as far as the craft goes. And I care a lot about the craft.
Yeah.
As far as the physical, like outside of yourself and sharing moments with other people, part of like a career, I have not done so great. I feel like I might have offended like some sort of rap god at some point, and they were like, like that, like remember Thinner, like I curse you Thinner. Like I feel like someone cursed me like tourless. You know what I mean? Like I do like maybe like if I'm lucky, I feel like I do like 5 shows a year. It's wretched.
Yeah.
It's wretched. So if someone's out there and they're like that does like tour shit, books tours, holla at your boy. But it would be a wretched shame if I didn't go on tour for this next album. And I do an amazing show if I say so myself.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. So it's just you've got this big audience though that's there is hearing you that would come see you.
Oh yeah.
It's just a matter of connecting those dots, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some shit. I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe it's just not supposed to happen. Like maybe if I was like touring nonstop over the last like some odd years, I would be like dead or something. I'm trying to find like the half full of it. But hopefully I'm touring on this one. Or I will be touring on this one. You got to speak it into existence.
We'll keep everyone posted.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. All right. Well, we'll end there, and that's super tight. Thank you for your time.
Man, thank you for your time.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Peace.
Peace.
wasn't trying to chill, get a kickstand. Everybody getting money, had a game plan. Every truth seeker dropped by a hitman. Everybody alt-right, gotta be white. Everybody disagree, gotta be wrong. Everybody black dick, gotta be long. Every mixtape drop, gotta be free. Everybody from the hood gotta be G. Everything in the news gotta be real, right? Every Jew golden rule gotta say bills. Every young nigga got a deadbeat daddy. Every independent lady attitude trashy. Anybody ain't lit gotta be old. If you dress like that, you gotta wanna fuck. If I got locks, then they gotta stay blown. And if it ain't Fronto, it gotta be a blonde. And if I cop squares, why they gotta be posts? Either keep it real or you on time bugging. If two ain't the same, why one gotta be broke? You can play the game, I ain't gotta be nothing for you but me. From the head nappy, 2 feet. Can't hurry something so complete. Took time like dog comfy. If spaceship's too far from your reach, it's weightless way down in the deep, yeah. You ain't about to have me losing no sleep, cause I'm grinding, you ain't about to see me snoozing no sleep. Same time, man.
Girl, side ponytail, thrift store garb, frizzy hair, bookworm, but street smart. Immigrant children watching buckwheat late night. Listen to Depeche Mode, big audio, or dynamite. Identity crisis, coming later vices are coming even later prices for a life lived. Without life built for the right price skill, cause you can be the things they say to be and get killed. With difficulty comes learning, with typically those less exposed to those burdens can flourish without knowing themselves, without growing themselves, without the moments of doubt, moments of bells all ringing, singing low self-esteem. Gene walk 100 feet tall, walk mean, talk obscene, crock or fall across scenes. Never crossing the green, cause I ain't got to be nothing for you but me. From a 3 beat down 2 feet, can't fathom how it's so complete. Take your time like duck confit. Spaceships, they ain't never out of reach. I'm up high and down, down the deep. You ain't about to have me losing no sleep, cause I'm grinding. You ain't about to see me snoozing no sleep. Same time, man.
Thank you, Quelle. That was a great interview. Thank you all for listening. Next week, we have Marcelo Vignali, who worked on Into the Spider-Verse, the new Spider-Man movie, and he was the lead designer on the Roger Rabbit ride at Disneyland. What? So we talk about what it was like designing that ride, how he did some of the voices for the characters on that ride, and how he went from Imagineer to animator in cell animation and then computer animation, and what it was like working on Into the Spider-Verse, and kind of his spiritual and philosophical approach. We actually did this podcast at Sony Animation Studios in his office. So he gave me a tour of Culver City, and it was really cool. Marcelo, freaking awesome guy. So check that out next week. Have a great week, everyone. Happy New Year. Thanks for listening. If you liked it, please leave a comment. Please leave a review. Please tell your friends. And we'll see you next week. Peace.